Hey, it's Sandy at Play for Ministry. Let's talk a little bit about what the chord symbols mean. You might see like a G7, a G dim, a G with a plus behind it. What do those mean, okay? And what can I play if I don't know how to play that particular chord? What can I play? I can't just stop playing in the middle of something. So here's the basic idea, okay? When you have the capital letter symbol for a chord, that means you're just going to play the plain old major chord there. You can play it in any flip-flop inversion you want, spread it out, roll it up, with anything you want to do, but you're going to be playing the basic chord. For instance, a capital G means you're going to use some combination of G, B, and D. That's your G major chord. So you could play G octaves and be playing things up here. You can do whatever you want, but you're playing a G major chord. So when you see a number added after that capital G, that means we're adding another tone to the chord. We're adding a fourth note to this chord, sometimes a fifth. So when you see a number added after a chord name, if you're under pressure situation, you're playing and you see that chord name and you don't know what to do with that, you can just play the G major chord. Okay, for instance, a G7 means we're adding this F to the G chord. Gives it a different flair. But say, for instance, maybe I'm playing a song with a lead sheet. I've got a melody and I've got chord names and that's all I've got. Or I'm playing a song where the guitar chords are written above and it says G7. What do? I don't know G7. I'm under pressure. Help me. You can just play a G major chord. When you're adding a note, when you're adding a number to the chord symbol, if I play this, I'm playing the G7. If I take that out, I'm not playing any wrong notes. I'm just not playing all of the notes. Same thing as if I play a G chord and I pick to voice only the G and the D. I'm not playing anything wrong. I'm just not playing all of the possible notes. So when there's a number added, if you don't know what to do, just play the major chord. You'll be fine. If the G is changed in any way by a letter, going to lowercase, by adding symbols after it, that means they've changed the notes in the chord and you can't just play the G major chord there because it will clash with other instruments or vocal parts, whatever else is going on in the music. And it's just not going to sound like you're expecting it to sound because the chord's been altered. For instance, if you see a capital G with a lowercase m next to it, or sometimes you'll see it written as a lowercase g, not as much now as in older music. That means it's a G minor chord. So they've changed from these three notes, from the G, B, D, to a G, B flat, D. Okay, so you've gone to the minor chord. If you play the minor with that major, you don't want to do that, right? So if it's a G with a little m or a lowercase g, you're going to be playing a minor chord. You can play the G. You can just pop out 4 Gs. If it's got a little plus symbol after it, or if it's got the letters A-U-G, that means they have augmented the chord. They have enlarged it a little bit. So what happens there is they take this GBD, instead of playing the D, you're going to raise it, what we call half step, raise it by 1 key, and you're going to play G, B, D sharp. That's a transitional chord, but you'll see that in music sometimes. So an augmented chord is when there's a plus or when it's the AUG after that capital letter for the name of the chord. And again, the only thing you know for sure you can play is a G if you don't know what to do with the augmented. Another chord variation that shows up is the diminished. And you'll see this symbol either a small O, or if you see the letters dim, D-I-M, after the chord, that means they've shrunk it down and made it smaller. So instead of G-B-D, the middle note comes down 1 key or half a step to the B flat. The D also comes down 1/2 step to the D flat. So instead of playing G-B-D, you're now playing G, B flat, D flat. So again, this chord majorly altered. So if you see the G with the little circle or the G dim, that's what they're talking about. They're bringing the top 2 notes down a half step. You can play the G. You can just pop out 4 Gs. Another one that you're going to see sometimes is suspended chord, S-U-S. And what that means is we're taking the middle note of that root chord. When it's in this position, it's the middle note. And we're going to raise him up and suspend him up in the air a little bit, and then we're going to bring him back down. always resolve your suspended notes. Don't leave people hanging. That creates a little bit of conflict in the music, and you always want to resolve the conflict. So the suspended chord, you're going to raise that middle note up 1/2 a step. In this situation, there's no black keys in between, so we're going to the white key. So instead of G, B, D, we're going to have G, C, D, and then we're going to bring that C back down to the B and resolve it there. All right, so quick summary. When you see a capital letter, that's the major chord. Play it any way you want. Flip-flop it, spread it out, roll it, it doesn't matter. When you've got a number added after it, you can play that major chord with the added note or without the added note. You're not playing anything wrong. But if you've got letters or symbols after it, or if it's a lowercase chord name, you cannot just play the major chord with that because notes have been changed. You can play just the name of the chord, a G, but you cannot just substitute a G major chord in there. So I hope this has been helpful. If it has, make sure you like this video, subscribe if you haven't. If you have any questions or comments, please be sure to leave them for us also. This is Sandy at Play for Ministry. I'll be talking to you later. Bye-bye.